Real story about 2021, 2022. I was on a crazy run. I landed my 3 biggest songs to date. One of them with over 20 million streams, another one with like 10 million, another one with like 10 million. So you would think that's a lot of money. Big payday coming. Well, it's currently 2025, and what have I told you? I pretty much haven't been paid for any of those songs. Over 40 million streams in music, I'm still owed money for. I'll tell you why. I didn't sign a shitty deal. They didn't steal it. It's because of the sample. We got fucked over by the sample clearance. I'm gonna be honest. The laws are very tricky with sample owners. They can kind of just claim whatever they want. And you know, I'm about to get paid soon. Don't worry. We've resolved it. But the fact that it took 3 years to get paid is insane. It's 2025. Samples are out. We're making our own shit. Producers are getting a little more advanced now, you know. You can make real sounding samples on a laptop nowadays. I'm gonna break down a few of my favorite samples. I'm going to show you some of the key production techniques to get that old vintage sampled sounds. Now, before we start, a lot of producers think you have to have some super fucking complex melody to make these, but I just want to let you know that it's very, very simple. The first thing you need to understand when making these is the sound selection. What actual like instrumentation, what instruments you use, it doesn't fucking matter. It depends on the genre, you know. There's so many different types of like vintage samples, like it doesn't really matter. What actually matters is the quality of the sounds. We're trying to replicate stuff from like the 70s, so it didn't sound as good as the sounds we have in 2025. So your best bet above everything is to use real instruments. Now, we're music producers. We don't know how to fucking play instruments, most of us at least, and we don't have thousands of dollars to buy that. So if you can't do that, there's a couple options. You could use live phrases. So I found these 2 live phrases from Splice, and that's kind of like the main lead melodies of my sample. The next loop I'll show you, I actually made the live trumpet phrase myself, so I'm going to show you how you can do that as well without playing the instrument, by the way. Other than that, I used VSTs, but I mixed them in a way that makes it sound authentic. I'm just going to give this sauce away for free. I was going to put it in a kit, but it's very simple. So this is my master for these vintage loops. I put this super VHS on. You can really use any type of like VHS, VST, but you know, this just makes it a little grittier. This knob right here, this makes it a little like out of tune, which is very common in these old records because they didn't have everything perfect. Next thing right here is this tape machine, and the key for this, if you want to really get like a gritty sound, you turn the input way up, you turn the output down, but you turn it up enough. You know, if you really turn this up, it will start to like really distort. So you want it to just slightly distort. So, and the final thing is optional, but it was sounding a bit too bright to me. You know, these old songs, the mix was shit because they didn't have good quality mixing back then. So I just took a little bit of a dip on the high end. So without any master effects, we have this. With the master effects, we have this. So that is step 1, is getting the proper instrumentation and sound. Step 2 is that making the actual melodies is really fucking simple. When I make my stuff, I like to think of how they would do it back in the day. Most of these bands or singers, whatever, they usually kind of started with the rhythm section, then maybe they laid down some vocals or like a couple lead melodies, stuff like that. So I started with the rhythm. I just got these stock FL drums and I laid down a very simple pattern. You know, it's very likely somebody else is gonna sample this, add trap drums on it. So what I like to do is just make very quiet and simple drums, just so there's a little bit of a rhythm, just so it has like that sampled real song feeling, and it gives you something to like base your chords off of. So I'll be honest, I got lazy. I just kind of clicked these in. So nothing very special at all. But if you want to continue to get that vintage sound, if you have a keyboard, drum machine, whatever, play it out yourself. Play it out live like they did back in the day. You know, we're making music on computers nowadays, but it doesn't have to sound like it was made in a computer. It could sound like it was actually made with real instruments in a studio. So I did get a little lazy here, but you'll see for some of these other sounds, I did start to play them out live. After I got like a little drum bounce going, I like to go to the chords, and this is a very beginner level chord progression. Like I said earlier, a lot of people think you need to have like these crazy advanced progressions, but this is like beginners, like first week on FL type shit. So it's simply just D minor with this D up an octave, then the same chord, but it's a little strum here, strummed backwards, D minor chord again, then we jump over to this G. This is just a G minor, but I changed the voicings so it gives it a little different feeling. And then right here, this is a very easy trick. You've probably seen this in every FL tutorial ever, but we simply just went down 5. So if you take this and you pitch it down 5, it's the exact same thing, except again, to make it flow naturally, I just changed up some of the voicings. Like I moved this C up and I changed this last chord. So I wanted like a diminished chord at the end. I wanted to give it like a little bit of dissonance. So that gives it kind of like that like off-putting, creepy feeling. So that's what I was going for here. But overall, it's very basic, like following the scale, simple shit you learn week 1. If you are feeling confused, if that was a lot, go watch my theory for beginners tutorial. I'll link it here somewhere. I'll link it at the end of the video as well. But yeah, once you have that down, just continue the rhythm section, go in, add a bass line. I usually base my bass notes off of the kick from the drum pattern. So listen to this, compare it to the kick. From there, I just layered the chords, and that's pretty much a little rhythm section done. So from there, I found the splice loops, I chopped them up, and I did the little call and response melody. From there, it was still sounding very empty, so I added in this organ, but it's just the exact same chords. And that fills in the background a little bit. Now with these samples, you got to think about it. They're not just like little 8-bar loops. They're real songs. So real songs have a lot of variations. So I made a few different sections here. So for this second section, same sounds. I've changed up the patterns a bit. Same progression, just a new pattern. This piano's kind of taken the main spot now, while the Rhodes have taken the background. The reason I made the piano a little more advanced this time is because there's no lead trumpet, so something had to take the place. Bass line is the same, and then a bunch of new sounds come in. So the key to making these sound full as well is just lots of different instruments. We have this bell here, which takes places like the new main melody. I laid down a simple dark melody. Layered the bass on this. Again, just to make it sound fuller. Finally, to fill in the high end, I added in this. This is actually a 16-bar pattern, so I just really did my thing with it. I did just keep the VST. If I wanted to go above and beyond, I would send this MIDI over to like a session musician, and then they would play it out live, so then I'd have a live instrument phrase. But I think it still sounds good, even with the VST. And over here for the final section, again, same progression, but I just switched it up a lot this time, changed up the rhythm. In the final section, for this first loop, what are some of the key lessons is 1, it's all about the instrumentation, it's all about the mixing. The patterns themselves are extremely simple. For the mixing, I showed you the master. We'll just go sound by sound. For the drums, just really drown it out, put it in the background. Like I said, we're going to use this to be sampled. Somebody's going to throw drums on this, so I don't want the drums to be like super in your face. Then for the rest of it, I don't do anything like super harsh. I don't add crazy delays or reverb, just very simple stuff. I like this plate reverb a lot. It's very simple. The piano, again, I gave everything its own space, so the Rhodes mainly took up out here, so I took that out of the piano. Then instead, I put the piano on the higher end a little bit. Super simple reverb. It's a little more extreme on here, but simple delay and stereo shaper, just because the Rhodes were more in the center, so I want the piano more on the sides, again giving everything its own space. Now I just kind of went sound by sound and followed those same principles. So you can see it's pretty much just like stereo shaper, EQ, reverb, similar plugins on everything. There's also, if you want to give something this gritty feeling, I have this plugin here, saturation knob, just gives it a little bit of a grittier feeling. Before we get into this next sample, by the way, I send out these loops in the Discord, and somebody used one, and I got it placed with 2 relatively big artists. So if you want opportunities, tap in. I'm also going to be releasing a bunch of my loops for free, so just check that out in the description below. You guys heard it here first. I'm going to try putting out a pack with a bunch of live instrument phrases, mostly trumpets and stuff. And in this next loop, I'm going to show you how you can actually make your own phrase. But if you can't do that, then there's going to be this kit. So I want to play the beat that was made with that first sample. Pretty fucking good in my opinion, and that got placed with 2 pretty big artists. I could see that doing pretty good numbers, so we'll see how that goes. And guess what? We're gonna get paid because we don't have to worry about sample clearance or any of that bullshit. So for this next sample, it's the same concepts for this sample. My master is the exact same thing. All of these instruments are like the same exact type of mix where it's just like simple EQs, very simple plate reverbs, simple delays, stuff like that. So for this one, again, very light drums. I like these kind of brush sounds because they're not harsh at all. You could just put them in the background. You're not even going to hear them once you lay down your own drums on top of the sample. I lay down a simple progression once again. But when you break it down, it's just simple following the notes in the scale, voicing, stuff like that. So it looks complex, but it's not complex at all. Again, I started building some rhythm. Same chords with just some rhythm added. Like this. We have this right here to transition. That's a very realistic sounding thing. Like it starts before the actual drop. So I like adding those in. Maybe that's something you can experiment with. It's just very simple little things like that to then add in spice. Like without it, it sounds fine. Just that little thing there, it just adds so much in my opinion. Right here with pianos, I like layering it. So these are the same notes, just up octaves. When you break these down, I'm really just using the notes from the chords, just pitched up 2 octaves. To transition sections, I have this little chime, and then way more comes in this next section. What I do, if you want to make a live instrument phrase, first off, make it in MIDI. Then you need a session musician. Luckily, I have one, and we're probably going to be putting out a kit together, so stay tuned for that. I got you covered. You don't have to pay hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars for session musicians, but you're going to get sent back some stuff and it's going to sound way cooler because it's live. Sometimes I'll layer the live with the VST. And with these instruments, when they're live, it's a lot harder to mix. You got to really be careful with the EQs. Make sure, you look for bad frequencies, take those out. I compressed it as well, and then just a little limiter. Before we close off, any last thoughts I have for making these is to get the sound selection right. You could have a banger melody, but if the mixing and the sound selection is just bad, then it doesn't matter. It's not going to sound like a sample. So that is kind of the most important lesson from the entire video. Like I said, I'm going to try and put out that live instrument pack for you guys. But you can get away with VSTs for most of these. For at least the chords in the rhythm section, you can get away with VSTs. For the leads, maybe, maybe you want to use Splice. Maybe you want to find packs. Maybe you'll get my packs when those come out. Or maybe you actually know how to play an instrument. Other than that, it's making the melody that I think people overcomplicate. When I break it down, you're just following notes in the scale. There's no crazy shit. Maybe the little diminished chord at the end, it gets a little advanced, but that's pretty beginner stuff. Watch my basic music theory tutorial that I made. I really don't know theory. I just kind of click buttons and shit sounds good, so I break it down in a very easy to understand way. So go click here to tap in with that video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.